I think concerns are pretty universal. No matter where you go, no matter where you are, there is something that causes you to worry and causes you to ask, is this a planet we want to leave to our children?
Environmental law is still a very young discipline, and we need to think about its progressive development. We need to think about where it's going and what it's failing to do well. And this colloquium is the think tank.
When you consider that the environment is a global issue, as much as one might see local consequences of environmental degradation, it makes all the sense to bring people from different jurisdictions, from different families of law, to share their knowledge, their experience, their expectations.
We will bring together practitioners and legal scholars. I think that's an added value because it's the people who work with the law in the courts and the people who work with the law in their minds. And we try to bring them together to have some fruitful discussions and probably cross-fertilization of both fields, the practice and the scholarship.
Some conferences, they're very stiff, people aren't comfortable with each other, so they present, they're very guarded in their response. The Academy, it's not like that. People are more than happy to discuss their planned research as well as their current research. They're quite open about collaboration, and it just creates an atmosphere that works very well from an academic point of view.
There's a lot of interesting publications that come out of the Academy and opportunities to publish as well. So there's both the opportunity to receive mentorship and support as well as the exposure of your own scholarship, which are both very important.
People run into each other at an event like this and you make connections. So for example, if you teach international environmental law and issues arise in different parts of the world, you've got contacts, you've got people on the ground who can help bring you up to speed and get way ahead of the law journals, way ahead of the texts, and really allow you to use their national voices to inform your classroom.
The aspect I'm going to be talking about refers to illegal logging.
We have tried to bring our doctoral candidates and our law student candidates to this academy over the years so that they can network with a global set of their own peers and learn from the beginning that the environmental law struggles that they will go through are shared by others in different regions.
Being able to speak in front of renowned academics and lawyers in the top of their fields, dealing with like today's most pertinent environmental research, it was just truly amazing. Being able to just have a dialogue with some of my environmental heroes, it was definitely a very humbling and very exciting experience for me.
Forest carbon contracting attempts to harness...
There are certain challenges attached to the kind of job we're doing. How to carry the message over, how to engage students in these very complex, very demanding legal fields that we're dealing with. And meeting people that do the same work in different places, in different contexts perhaps, is a very valuable experience.
We have created a home for the environmental law professors in all the regions that don't have strong national systems for scholarly intercourse and collaboration.
We move from year to year. We go to different regions, and the OAS institution, they have their own network, and of course for people living in the region, it's easier to attend those colloquiums. So every year we get new people and therefore new ideas.
In environmental law, this is absolutely crucial. We cannot deal as we thought we could in the late 60s and 70s with environmental issues just looking at where we live.
The problems have become far more complex. They're no longer tractable by government. They're no longer tractable within jurisdictions. The knowledge required to deal with them has become much more complex. The issues are more complicated. So we're now heading into a time when the focus has to be upon systems of governance, not upon instruments of governance. We have to be able to make that transition.
We are engaged in something called conceptual law development in IUCN. We look at a problem, we say, how can law help resolve that problem? How can it solve it? And we then come up with the concepts for doing so and the legal tools for doing so.
Judges benefit with the legal scholarship that is generated by the Academy. Most parts of the world, the judges are overloaded with cases, so the judges themselves don't have the time or the vocation sometimes to generate the environmental law knowledge that is necessary for a good judicial practice.
The networks and the colleagues that you have from the Academy will draw you into that comparative law teaching, comparative law research in a very unique way. I know of no other institution that fills the same role.
It's a unified group of professionals working towards a unified objective of trying to make the world a healthier place to live in.
I think the changes that I'd really like to see is the integration of environmental concerns in all areas of law, not just this isolated field of environmental law. I mean, I worked in this field and looked at it in isolation for a long time, but I realized it has to go into all other areas, and, you know, in property law and trade law, investment law. That's where environmental interests, environmental concerns have to become an integral part of it and have to be really part of the entire legal structure, entire legal framework.
Now, I think the Academy is going to be one of the few places where it is possible to lead that transition.
You will not have any social and economic development unless you have strong environmental protection, strong environmental stewardship at the foundation. These new Sustainable Development Goals are a result of the last 50 years of IUCN's leadership internationally to create a better way of humans learning about the laws of nature and then building off the laws of nature rather than subverting them. We have to go back as teachers, as scholars, and as environmental lawyers to our governments and our local authorities and bring this message to them at all levels that we need to sustain our environment in this era of the Anthropocene.